Well, hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Adam. Thanks for hanging out with me again today. And today is part 3 of the Ask Me Anything Answers videos. If you guys haven't seen part 1 or 2, I'll have links up here or down in the description. You guys can check those out. Decided to do it a little bit different this time and split them up so it's not one ginormous video. And that's both for me and you guys. So I don't have to sit here and listen to myself talk for 2 hours straight while I'm editing it. Can break it down into smaller pieces so I don't hate myself so much. And for you guys, so you're not having to sit through, a single 2 hour long video. It can be broken up over a couple days and you guys can take it in smaller chunks and just make it a little bit easier to watch. I know everybody's got a busy schedule, so I'm going to get to answering some questions. So Fast Freddy RC, I'd be curious to see what you think about the Bruiser clone. As to questions, what are your new thoughts on the Tamiya motors coming out this year? Real quick, for the Bruiser clone, I am not done with that. The chassis is done. The body is not. Getting sick kind of threw that off schedule. And then honestly, the RCL bought the Ready to Run kit and went to paint his, and he had a hell of a time with paint not wanting to stick to the body. So I've kind of been, dragging my feet a little bit to see if I'm going to run into that same nightmare as well. Hopefully not. The chassis-wise, it's good. It's a antiquated design for the chassis, so it operates like a chassis built in 1986. That said, the clone didn't really have any issues with the chassis itself. Some shortcuts maybe, but overall, I think it's pretty good. That'll have its own dedicated video, and we'll go through that more in depth. So to your specific question, what are my thoughts on it? Tamiya motors coming out this year? I really don't care. Personally, they're probably going to be too expensive for me to worry about. I can buy Holmes Hobby motors for 15-ish, 16-ish bucks a piece. They look cool. They don't have the cool end bells and everything. They're just fixed end bell motors, but they're cheap. They work well. And, the Tamiya motors have never been terribly impressive with their performance versus price. But, we're getting very, very limited on brush motor options. So it is cool that they have released some new motors. Was it the GT2, I think? I can't even remember the names of them. There was only one that, remotely got me interested in going, well, I might have to get one or two of those and try them out. I think it was the GT2. I don't know. I'll put a picture of it up here, which one it was. I know a lot of people would be like, oh, they're going to be crap. They come out of Taiwan or whatever. Man, nothing is made anywhere that's going to be expensive anymore. If it is, it's too expensive and nobody buys it. So that part I don't care. I don't really care where it's made at. As long as it works good and doesn't cost a ton of money, I really don't care. So yeah, I might get one. The rest of them, dirt tunes and this tunes and that tunes, they're entirely too specific. And, if it's a crawler motor, I'm going to go get a Holmes Hobby crawler motor. They work, they're cheap, and, I have put those crawler motors through hell. I know they work. I'm not going to risk it on a Tamiya motor trying to run 3S on it and frying the brushes out of it because, well, it's not really rated for 3S. Holmes, I had that thing in mud, water, and blasting on 3S through creeks, and they just work. So stuff like that doesn't really get me interested. So Craig, over to OAG, you have the most amazing collection of RC. However, what is the one card that you've not been able to track down? I don't know whether it's not being able to track down, more so not willing to pay the ridiculous amounts of money to get one. That Blazing Blazer is still the holy grail of kind of my collection. And I'm not terribly upset that I don't have one. Because, if I get it, then what's there really there left to really want? So I'm not upset that I don't have one. And I just don't want to pay the money to get a good quality one that is in good shape, that is not going to require me to spend another small fortune to buy and find parts to get one fixed up. So I'm fine with not having one. One of these days they may come off their butts and re-release it and I'll have my day. So I'm kind of holding out hope there, but I don't see it happening, but it could. But yeah, that's kind of the one the the RC that I probably won't ever get, and I'm cool with it. My buddy Santiago, where do you get the damage stickers for your Tamiya models, whether they're original or from another brand? Most of the restorations I do have all been MCI decals out of Canada. They do ship worldwide. What the shipping is to Spain and other countries like that, I have no idea. So my suggestion is, if you do order from MCI, order everything you possibly think you might want. Make it worthwhile the shipping to get it there. Don't just order a set of Mad Bull decals to get that one Mad Bull done. You know, if you think, oh, well, I'm probably going to get a Kyosho Outrage. I've been really looking at those. And, well, that lunchbox I have, I probably could replace some of the decals on that. You know, what you spend on the decals is going to be, whether you buy one set or 4 sets, the shipping is going to be pretty much the same. They come in like a big protected envelope type mailer with some cardboard in there to keep them getting torn up. But it's going to be more worth your while to get, you know, what you need, what you think you might need, and what you think you may plan to get later on down the road, and have those decal sets on hand to avoid having to repeat shipping 2 or 3 times down the road. I have gotten some original sets of decals, not very many. And those were from Bai when I was getting Bai lots, when shipping wasn't ridiculous and tariffs weren't a thing. You know, it was affordable. You get a brand new set of decals for $7 over there, and toss it in with another package that I was already getting sent over for nothing extra. So it made sense. Since then, MCI is basically where I get all my stuff from. And they have, to me, a Kyosho, Shuma, pretty much you can think of it, they have it. They have all different brands. What RC kits have impressed you the most in terms of engineering and design and their chassis? Well, the most impressive RC that I have is the Losi Promoto dirt bike. That thing just amazes me every time I take it out. It is just a technological wonder that it does what it does so easily and effectively. So this one's definitely going to have multiple answers. So the Losi Pro Moto, as far as technology, is the best. That is the coolest one I have. As far as just pure grit and determination and toughness, the Arma lineup, I have been terribly impressed with. I have beat the snot out of all of those trucks, and they just keep coming back and asking for more, and I've broken very, very, very little for the amount of damage and pain I've inflicted on those trucks. So as far as durability standpoint, the Armas are some of the best. For kind of an overall cool factor, fun factor, smile maker, the big Tamiya tractor trailers with the light and sound units in there are just way up here on the, you know, entertainment factor and just making you smile like a little kid. I mean, those trucks are everything that we ever wanted when you were pushing around a toy car in your living room or outside when you were a little kid. You know, the lights, the sounds, the rumble of the truck. You know, that was everything that you wanted and had to imagine your little toy car doing. And that does it. And you can just sit there driving it around and backing it into a trailer and driving away. You know, those are just absolutely amazing kits. That's probably kind of 3 answers for one question. And finally, with everything you've already achieved in your life, is there any personal project you've yet to complete? I would say probably sitting down and having the patience to actually learn how to play a guitar. I have tried a couple times, and I can never sit down and have the focus and dedication to actually play them well. I did learn I learned some chords. I learned a couple little intros and this and that, some intricate things, I guess, but nothing very technical. And I can never maintain the focus and dedication to getting good at it. That's probably my biggest weakness in life is sticking with something long enough to master it. I've done a lot of crap, and I'm a master of none of it, but I would one day, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a guitar, just any musical instrument. I love music, and I respect the hell out of everybody that can sit down and just play a song. I've just never, I don't know whether it's a mental thing, I'm going about it the wrong direction, the wrong way, but self-taught is evidently not the way it's going to have to happen. I'm going to have to actually go to somewhere and be like, you need to teach me how to play this thing and learn it. So that would probably be it, is to be able to sit down and with an instrument and play something that somebody else can enjoy. So hopping into Mad B RC, my questions are, what are your favorite RC channel? Mad B RC? Maybe Mad B RC. What's your thoughts on Mad B RC? James, you got a great channel. Keep making the videos. I enjoy them. Just keep pushing yourself. Do a little bit more. Try to, learn a little bit more about the editing. It's not easy. But, just have fun with it and enjoy it. I do enjoy your channel. And, seeing your face light up when you have a new RC or driving something for the first time is wonderful. My question is, what's one car in your collection you were drawn to mostly for its looks? That's a hard one to answer because most of them are looks and me oogling them in magazines for so many years. Out of the ones I personally built, I would say the Tomahawk, the Kyosho Tomahawk, is probably one of my favorites as far as looks. Just because it's just a cool looking buggy. I love the design of it, the aluminum rails, just the overall chassis and body I really like. Tamiya one would probably be Terra Scorcher. I just always loved the way that thing looked. And it's the only one in that family of cars that I have that I haven't driven. Keith gave me the kit and I built it and it's ready to go. I just refuse to drive it just because I don't want to put a scratch on it at all. Under it, on it, I don't want to put a scratch on that car at all. So far, it's stayed a shelf queen. Question number 2, what's the first car in your collection you would sell off without a second thought if you needed the cash? I'd sell the RC10 four-wheel drive right now, and I don't need the cash. If cash was a necessity and I had one to sell off to make money, probably one of the Cloudbusters. I've got the black edition, I've got the gray edition, and I've got the newly restored old one. I would probably keep the old one and the gray edition and probably move on to black edition. Yeah, I love them all. So it's hard to separate with them, especially if I built them or restored them. That's kind of something special I don't want to get rid of. Third question, what would be the last car in your collection to go? Last car in my collection to go would be the Grand Hauler. Just because that was the first kit that was gifted to the channel by the RC Elf. It was something I never thought I would get just because they're so god-awful expensive. And I absolutely adore the truck. I love the build. I love the sentimental value of it. It is the favorite in my collection, hands down. I've got some other really, really nice ones. I've got my Nissan King Cab I paid a lot for, and that one has a really cool lineage. That was Ampro Engineering. That was his truck that he prototyped all of his stuff on there. It still has a lot of the prototype parts on there that he made, so that has a very unique place. But that Grand Hauler is never going anywhere. And even after I'm gone, my wife plans on keeping that one. That one's not going anywhere. And he says, fourth question, being greedy, but what car in your collection means the most to you on all levels? I kind of just answered that one as well. Not intentionally, but that Grand Hauler is the best one of the collection, hands down, all the way around. Like I said, it's never going anywhere. And fifth question, are you sick of me asking questions? No. That's why we do these things, James. But I appreciate the humor, dude. All right, we got 2 more to go. So, Lasso Kid, why don't you create some shorts? I see you only have one short. It's a great way to spread the channel. I really don't even think about shorts. I will sit down occasionally and I'll get lost scrolling through shorts. I'll see one pop up on my recommendations page or whatever and be like, oh, what's that about? And I'll click on it and I'll watch that, and then I'll just start scrolling from one to the next to the next to the next. But yeah, I put zero thought or effort into thinking about shorts. I don't know. It's just something I've never done. My videos tend to be a longer format video. Most of my videos are 10 to 20 minutes long. And I don't ever think of putting out something that's, 30 seconds to a minute long. I have mixed feelings about shorts and stuff like that. I think the genre we're in of instant gratification and instant is not good for anybody. Sitting down and watching YouTube videos is a time suck in itself, but hopefully in some of the videos that I do, there are informational bits that people pick up on, tips and tricks that you guys may not have heard of, random bits and pieces of information that I can share to help you guys out, make your lives easier when you're in your RC hobby and stuff like that. And shorts don't really serve that function. To me, it's blind entertainment. It's chuckle and scroll, chuckle and scroll, chuckle and scroll. So I'm not a fan of it personally. Like I said, I do get lost in it occasionally where it's, I get sucked into one and next thing you know, 15, 20 minutes have gone by and I've gone through 70 or 80 different shorts. Most of the time I regret it because it's been, 15, 20 minutes. I could have watched somebody else's video instead of just scrolling through a pile of random nothingness. But I don't know. That's just me. I guess it's my old fart mentality on it. And growing the channel is not why I do this. It is really, really cool to see the number keep growing and, passing 1,000, 2,000, 5,000. We're at 8 now. I think we're at 8,000. Yeah. Yeah. So we're at 8,100 and change right now. I won't lie. It is great to see that number increase. But to be honest with you, no matter how big that number goes, I still have the same core group of guys that have been with the channel for 3, 4, 5 years now that have watched damn near every video and comment on all the videos. I'll put out a video every now and then. It'll get a huge spike of views, 2,500, 3,000, 4,000, whatever. And, that's great. I'll pick up 10 or 12 subscribers. How long they hang with the channel, I don't know. But, I know a lot of people watch a video, they'll subscribe to it, they'll watch, 5 or 6 other videos and be like, not really what I thought this guy was, and they never watch another video. So, growing the channel, what I feel is falsely growing the channel with just a bunch of little bits and pieces and enticing people to come over and subscribe, and they never watch a full-length video because they look at it and be like, 20 minutes, I'm not watching that. Is it doing me any good? Because basically the YouTube algorithm is going to look at your subscriber count for monetization. You can have 100 subscribers, or you can have 100,000 subscribers. If you put out a viral video, it's going to go viral. People are going to pick up on it. The chance of your video being seen at 100,000 is better because with 100,000 subscribers, you're just going to have naturally more viewers and watch time and watch hours than a person with 100 subscribers because they just don't have that much eyesight on them. Now, basically, you're going to get your views per video is the main thing. Your comments per video, your likes per video, or your dislikes, it doesn't really matter. YouTube doesn't care. Any interaction with your video is what keeps YouTube pushing it. When that interaction dies off, YouTube just says, okay, that's a dead video. We're going to start pushing this guy's stuff. But to me, it's the content, not the quantity of the content or, those little short blurbs to attract people in. If nobody else subscribes to the channel, I'm going to keep making videos. As long as my core group of guys keep watching the channel, liking the videos, chatting in the comments, I'm going to keep making the videos. When that dies off, then I'll probably give up. At that point, if I'm not able to talk to everybody in the comments, then, what's the point? Long answer to that. I just don't ever think of it and don't really have any plans for it. I don't want to grow the channel just based on shorts and, have 30,000 subscribers and I'm still getting 2,000 views a video. Doesn't really make any sense. And the last one from my good friends Wayne and Ingrid in Australia. If you had the power to choose two or more if you had the power to choose two or more Tamiya kits to reproduce in 2026, what would it be? Remember, you're Mr. Tamiya for 2026. There's a few fan favorites that come to mind. One would be, well, it's kind of a twofer. The Nissan King Cab and Monster Racer. I think with the Astute gearbox, it would probably be good enough to re-release. Make some minor changes in the molds to strengthen up those weak areas and just let it run. If they break, they break. Be smart about it when you make them. If you know the arms are still weak, put printing on the box. They did it on the XR311. On the box, it says this is as close to the original release of this kit as possible. This is a model kit that is remote controlled. Basically telling you that this model is delicate. Don't go beating this thing up. You're going to break it. All they have to do is put on the box. We've recreated this RC kit as true to form as to the original with minor improvements on strength and durability. Some parts may still remain fragile. They will still sell as many of them as they could possibly make. Just saying. And make extra arms. Make extra chassis tubs. Do your own diligence as a company and supply the parts for people buying the kits that might break the parts. It just makes sense to me, but I don't know why to me it doesn't do it. I would say go ahead and re-release the original Astute. Re-release the Dynastorm. For all the fanboys of it, release the 959. I really could care less. I'm not interested in the car. You could re-release the Celica again. Again, I think it's horrific looking, but people want it in their collection. Make it. Personally, I would love to see him to do the TXT1 again. Another big high-performance monster truck. And they could do things differently. They could change up the gearbox to try to prevent the overheating that the gearbox had in it. Make it with an upgraded aluminum gearbox that acts as a heatsink to help keep it from blowing up. It doesn't have to be exactly like they made it. I know everybody, there's two camps. There is it has to be exactly how it was done in 1986, or it's not a recreation, it's not a re-release. And then there's the other camp of like, man, fix it and re-release it. Make it a little bit better. I'll pay an extra $20 if you make it a little bit extra better, and I don't have to worry about it snapping in half. But yeah, there's a lot out there that I would like to see re-released. Those are probably some of the top ones. The Dynastorm. Oh, the Falcon. Jesus, I cannot forget about. I'm sure there was hundreds of you out there going, Falcon! Re-release the Falcon. That would be absolutely awesome. And I am going to dip my toe into Kyosho real quick. Just because I think they are absolutely stupid for not re-releasing some of these buggies that they could be re-releasing. The Raider, the Rocky, the Outrage, the Ultimate Outlaw truck. Re-release those things. You guys seem to refuse to re-release anything with a plastic chassis. It doesn't make any damn sense. The Raider is a really cool buggy. I know tons and tons of people that had one that would love to have another one. I've got two of them. I've got one over there that is the Runner that is in really good shape, but it's scratched up and scraped up, so that's the Runner. And then I think I took the no. And I think the other one is out in the garage, but I have one that is in much nicer shape that looks really, really well, and that's just my Shelf Queen. I would actually buy another one just to build one from a kit, to take it out of the box, snip the parts off the parts trees, build it up from the instructions, I'd have another one. Why not? The Rocky. I would love to have the 4-wheel drive Rocky. It's just a cool looking little buggy. I love it. Never had one, never driven one, but I would love to have one. The Ultimate Outlaw truck. That thing is absolutely awesome. It looks great. And they would sell them like crazy. The Ultima 2 on the plastic chassis, the Outrage, which is basically the Ultima 2 with different body on it. You know, they would sell like crazy if you guys could make them and price them reasonably, but they refuse to do it. All they want to do is make $400 metal chassis stuff over and over and over and over again. The same crap over and over again. I don't understand their thought process. You know, I guess they're making an absolute butt ton off of Mini Z's that's keeping that company alive, but I don't know. Kyosho, just to me, they don't make enough parts. They're absolutely horrible about, you know, keeping parts in stock, keeping kits in stock. It's like they'll make a run of one buggy or one or two buggies, and then that's all we're doing for 4 years. And, oh, okay, well, everybody's out across the world. We'll make some more of those same ones we already made. Make something different. Anyway, sorry about that rant, but Kyosho just doesn't make any damn sense with me. You know, you want to bring back retro racers with the Dune Master and Dirt Master, but, you know, bring back your actual vintage buggies as re-releases, and people would buy them like crazy. Doesn't make any sense. Okay, rant over again. Sorry. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the kind of split-up series of 3 different videos with this. I know it's going to make it easier on me to sit down 3 different times and listen to me ramble and edit it. But hopefully it fit into your guys' schedule a little bit better instead of one big long video. Anyway, guys, as always, everybody out there, be happy, be healthy, be safe, and I will catch you guys on the next one. See you guys.